There's one masculine trait women secretly crave more than anything, and most men don't even know they're missing it. It's not money, it's not looks, and it's not being the loudest guy in the room. It's something far deeper, and once you understand it, you'll never look at yourself or women the same way again. Think about how many times you've felt that silent frustration. You try to be nice, to please her, to show her how much you care. You answer her texts immediately. You adjust your plans around hers. You try to prove your worth. And yet, instead of pulling her closer, she slips further away. That's when doubt creeps in. You wonder if maybe you're not enough, if maybe women just want something else. Here's the truth. Women don't want a man who bends. They don't want a man who explains himself endlessly, who gives away his frame. What they crave is a man who carries himself with calm strength, who doesn't flinch when she tests him, who can stay centered no matter the storm. That one trait flips the entire dynamic. It makes her respect you. It makes her attracted to you in a way you can't fake. And once you master it, you'll see how unstoppable you become, not just with women, but in life. Let's get into it. Number 1. Own your presence. Presence is magnetic. When you walk into a room, people notice, not because you're the loudest, not because you're trying to impress, but because you carry yourself with calm certainty. That's what women feel most, even if they can't put it into words. The man who owns his presence doesn't need approval. He doesn't rush to prove himself. He simply is. And that quiet confidence pulls her in stronger than any clever line or flashy display. Take Michael, 42, recently divorced. After years of over-explaining himself and bending to keep peace in his marriage, he felt invisible. When he started dating again, he carried the same habits, talking too much, trying to justify every move. Women seemed polite, but uninterested. Then, with practice, he learned to pause, to let silence work for him. Instead of nervously filling gaps, he held eye contact, spoke with fewer but more deliberate words. Suddenly, the same women who once overlooked him leaned in closer, curious. Michael hadn't changed his looks or income, he changed his presence. Now picture Laura, 38, sitting across from him. At first, she thought he was just another average guy. But when she noticed his calm, how he didn't flinch at her playful tests, she couldn't ignore him. His presence told her he wasn't desperate for approval. That's when attraction sparked. Presence isn't about arrogance. It's about embodying what Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved and the raging of the sea falls still around it." When a man carries himself like that, he communicates something: primal strength, stability, self-control. Women respond instinctively because deep down they crave that anchor. But here's the mistake most men make. They confuse presence with performance. They think they need to dominate every conversation, crack the loudest jokes, or show off their status. In reality, that screams insecurity. Presence is the opposite. It's rooted in stillness, in the ability to stay composed when others lose balance. Think of how powerful that is in relationships. A woman may test you with silence, with sarcasm, or even with emotional swings. If you shrink, explain, or beg, you lose her respect. But if you own your presence, calm voice, steady posture, no rush to prove yourself, you instantly flip the script. She realizes you're not a boy chasing approval, you're a man standing firm, and that's rare. The truth is, women can find good looks, money, or charm in many places. What they rarely find is a man who doesn't bend under pressure, a man who makes her feel secure simply by how he stands, speaks, and looks at her. That's why presence is irresistible. It's not what you say, but who you are when you say nothing. So ask yourself, are you owning your presence, or are you constantly trying to earn it? Drop a comment right now. I own this. And remember, mastering presence isn't just about women. It changes how the world responds to you. Business partners, friends, even strangers sense it immediately. That's why once you build this, you'll never go back. Because when you learn to own your presence, you hold a kind of quiet power that no one can take from you. And trust me, this is only the beginning of what makes a man unstoppable. Number 2. Lead, don't chase. One of the most destructive mistakes men make with women is chasing. When you chase, you put her on a pedestal, and you lower yourself. You become reactive, waiting for her approval, adjusting your every move to please her. And nothing kills attraction faster than neediness. Women may smile at it, but deep down, they don't respect it. What they respect is leadership. Leadership doesn't mean control or domination. It means direction. It means you know where you're going, and you're inviting her to join you on that path. A man who leads doesn't sit by the phone waiting for her text. He doesn't rearrange his life just to get a little attention. He decides what he's doing, and if she fits into that, great. If not, he keeps moving forward. That's the energy that pulls her closer, because it shows strength and clarity. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That's leadership in its purest form. You decide who you are, you decide what your path is, and you move. When a woman sees you living that truth, she feels the difference. She doesn't feel like you're clinging to her approval. She feels like she's being invited into a man's world, and that's exciting. Now think about the difference between a man who leads and a man who chases. The chaser is constantly second-guessing himself. Should I call now? Should I wait? Should I change my plans if she says no? Every move is about her. But the leader has a grounded energy. He already knows what he's doing tonight. He already knows what direction he's headed. If she wants to join, he welcomes her warmly. If she doesn't, he's fine either way. That indifference is not cold, it's powerful. And here's the twist. Women test men to see which one they are. They delay responses, cancel plans, or act distant. The chaser panics, floods her with messages, tries harder. The leader stays calm, adjusts if needed, and continues moving forward. That's what builds attraction, because it shows he values himself above the approval of anyone else. There's a masculine frame in this. You are the center of your world, and she revolves around that, not the other way around. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's leadership. Be the man who moves with purpose, and stop begging for permission. Now, here's the challenge for you. Ask yourself, are you leading in your life, or are you chasing? Are you inviting her into your world, or are you desperately trying to prove yourself worthy of hers? If you're ready to own that shift, drop a comment right now. I lead strong. And here's why this matters. When you stop chasing and start leading, you'll notice the entire dynamic flip. She respects you more, she listens more, she follows your frame. And once you've tasted that kind of energy, you'll never go back to chasing again. But this is just one piece of the masculine trait that makes you unstoppable. And if you think this principle is powerful, wait until you hear what comes next. Number 3. Desire without need. One of the strongest signals of masculinity is the ability to want a woman without needing her. Desire and need may sound similar, but in reality, they couldn't be more different. Desire is powerful. It says, "I choose you." Need is weak. It says, "I can't live without you." Women sense the difference immediately, and it changes the way they respond to you. Let's break this down. Desire comes from a place of abundance. It shows that you're complete as a man. You already have a purpose, a life, and self-respect. When you desire her, it's an invitation, not a plea. Neediness, on the other hand, comes from emptiness. It communicates that you're using her attention to fill a void inside you. And no woman wants to carry that burden. Take an example. Imagine David, 42, a successful business consultant in Chicago. He enjoys his work, he's passionate about fitness, and he has a strong circle of friends. When David meets Lisa, 38, at a networking event, he finds her attractive and interesting. He asks her out because he wants to get to know her, not because he needs her validation. Lisa feels that. She notices his calm presence, the way he looks at her with interest but not desperation. That energy creates a spark. Now picture the opposite. A man who hasn't built his own foundation meets the same woman. The moment she gives him a smile, he latches on. He texts constantly, adjusts his schedule for her, and makes her the center of his world, even though she barely knows him. What happens? She loses respect. Not because she's cruel, but because his neediness reveals weakness. The Stoics were crystal clear on this. Seneca said, "A wise man is content with himself." That's the mindset of desire without need. You're already whole, already satisfied. You don't chase a woman to complete you. You invite her to share in the life you've already built. And that shift changes everything. When women sense desire without need, they lean in. They feel attraction because you're showing choice, not desperation. You're saying, "I want you, but I don't need you to breathe." That's magnetic. It makes her curious. It makes her want to prove herself to you. And here's the twist. When you operate from this frame, she often chases you harder because she knows you're not hooked on her approval. This doesn't mean you act cold or distant. It doesn't mean you play games. It means you know your value. You express interest, but you never let that interest turn into dependency. You can text her, you can compliment her, but you never let your world collapse if she doesn't respond the way you expect. So here's my question for you. Are you acting from desire, or are you trapped in need? It's a tough mirror to face, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. If you're ready to shift into real masculine energy, comment below with, "I choose, not chase." And remember, this mastering desire without need doesn't just change how women respond to you. It changes how you respond to life itself. Because once you stop seeking completion in someone else, you become free. And freedom is the most attractive energy of all. Stay with me, because the next principle will take this idea even deeper and show you a side of attraction most men overlook completely. Number 4. Stop seeking approval. One of the biggest mistakes men make is living their lives as if they are on stage, constantly waiting for a woman or the world to clap for them. Every text, every gesture, every word is designed to earn approval. But here's the truth. The moment you seek approval, you give away your power. Approval seeking is subtle, but women notice it instantly. It's in the way you text too often, just to make sure she's still interested. It's in the way you agree with everything she says, even when you don't believe it. It's in the way you wait for her reactions before deciding how you feel about yourself. That energy is suffocating. It shows that your self-worth depends on her validation, and nothing kills attraction faster than that. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The approval of others should mean nothing to you." That wasn't arrogance, it was wisdom. It meant anchoring your sense of value inside yourself, not in the shifting winds of other people's opinions. When you live by this, you no longer ask, "Does she like me?" Instead, you ask, "Do I respect the way I'm showing up as a man?" Think about it. Approval seeking places you in a position of weakness. You hand over control of your emotions to someone else. If she smiles, you feel high. If she frowns, you feel low. That's not masculine strength, that's dependency. But when you stop chasing her approval, you reclaim your center. You become steady, grounded, and calm. Women feel that steadiness, and it makes them lean in. Here's the paradox. When you no longer need approval, you actually receive more of it. Why? Because you radiate confidence. You're not bending to win favor. You're standing tall in who you are. That certainty is magnetic. She might test you, challenge you, or even try to push your buttons, but if you remain unshaken, she can't help but respect you. So, how do you stop seeking approval? You practice detachment from the outcome. You speak your truth even if it's unpopular. You set boundaries without fear of rejection. And you remind yourself daily that your value doesn't rise or fall based on whether a woman is impressed. It's already built into you. Epictetus put it best: if you are ever tempted to look for outside approval, know that you have compromised your integrity. Living by this principle isn't always easy, but it's the difference between being a man she admires and a man she tolerates. Now, I want you to think about your own behavior. Do you hold back your real opinions to avoid conflict? Do you overthink every text, trying to say the perfect thing so she won't lose interest? If so, you're still caught in the trap of seeking approval. And until you break free, she will always feel more power in the dynamic than you do. If you're ready to reclaim that power, drop this in the comments right now. I stand firm. And here's the truth. Stopping approval seeking is just the beginning. There's another layer to masculine strength that women feel even when no words are spoken, a quality that pulls them in without effort. That's what we're about to explore next. Stay with me. Number 5. Calm over chaos. Picture this. A heated argument breaks out. Voices are raised, emotions are boiling, and the room feels like it could explode at any second. In that moment, the man who keeps his composure, who refuses to be pulled into the chaos, instantly stands out. Women notice this more than anything else. Calm in the middle of chaos isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. It signals strength, control, and trustworthiness. Let's make it real with a scenario. Imagine Michael, 42, divorced and navigating the dating world again. He's sitting at dinner with Lisa, 39, a strong and independent woman. The waiter makes a mistake with their order, and Lisa gets visibly irritated. Instead of joining her frustration or trying to over-apologize, Michael simply smiles, reassures her with a gentle, steady voice, and calmly asks the waiter to correct it. That moment of composure shifts the entire energy at the table. Lisa feels safe, grounded, and more attracted, not because of what Michael said, but because of what he didn't let control him. Now compare that to another scenario. Jason, 36, is dating Sarah, 35. Whenever Sarah gets upset or emotional, Jason matches her energy, raising his voice, defending himself, or scrambling to fix the situation. What does Sarah feel? Chaos multiplied. Instead of feeling protected, she feels even more unstable. And over time, she loses respect because she can't rely on him to be her anchor. Women don't need perfection. They don't expect you to solve every problem. What they crave, often without admitting it, is the man who remains steady when emotions are high. That calmness tells her, this man is in control of himself, and therefore he can handle life. From a Stoic perspective, this is exactly what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. In other words, the chaos around you will never stop. But your ability to stay calm despite it, that's where your masculine strength lies. Masculine calm is not coldness. It doesn't mean ignoring her emotions or shutting her out. It means listening without reacting, offering stability without losing yourself. When she storms, you don't storm back. You remain the rock she can lean on. That contrast between her emotional storm and your grounded presence is what builds desire, trust, and respect all at once. Here's another truth. Women will test this. Not always consciously, but they will push, provoke, or express intense emotion just to see if you can hold steady. If you collapse into the same chaos, you fail the test. But if you stay calm, you not only pass, you also deepen her attraction, because you've shown her what true masculine leadership looks like. So ask yourself, do you let your emotions run wild when she challenges you? Or can you breathe, stay centered, and respond with calm clarity? If you want to rewire that dynamic in your favor, type this in the comments right now. I stay calm. And here's the exciting part: calmness isn't the final piece. There's an even deeper trait that takes your presence from strong to unforgettable, a quality that women can't resist because it speaks to something primal in their psychology. That's what we're going to dive into next. Stay tuned. Number 6. Speak with fire. There's a difference between talking and speaking with fire. Anyone can talk. Anyone can string words together, fill silence, or try to impress with clever lines. But speaking with fire, speaking with conviction, clarity, and purpose, that's something else entirely. Women don't fall for endless words. They feel drawn to the energy behind your words, the weight in your voice, and the way your presence shapes the space when you speak. Think about it. You've probably heard a man ramble on, over-explaining himself, trying to justify every move, almost begging for approval. His words may be loud, but they lack power. Then you've heard another man, calm but commanding, who chooses his words carefully. He doesn't speak often, but when he does, people stop and listen. That's fire. Here's what the Stoics knew. Words aren't just sounds, they're actions. Epictetus once said, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." That's the heart of speaking with fire. Don't waste words. Don't scatter them like coins. When you speak, let every word carry intention, because that's what sets you apart from the noise. Speaking with fire doesn't mean yelling. It doesn't mean dominating a conversation or drowning someone out. True fire comes from inner conviction. It's the voice of a man who knows what he stands for, who believes what he says, and who doesn't need approval to say it. Women pick up on this instantly. They can tell when your words come from insecurity and when they come from grounded certainty. This is why silence and fire work together. When you don't speak constantly, your words become more valuable. They carry weight because they're rare. And when you finally speak, your calm presence mixed with conviction creates a spark that can't be ignored. It shows that you're not just talking to fill the air, you're shaping it. From a psychological perspective, women are drawn to this because it signals leadership. A man who speaks with fire doesn't just share opinions, he sets the tone, frames the energy, and pulls others into his reality. He doesn't need to beg for attention because his words naturally command it. This is why you should never dilute your message with nervous chatter or apologies. Speak directly. Speak clearly. And when it matters, let your tone carry the strength of your belief. Now, does this mean you should script every line or rehearse every conversation? Absolutely not. That's the opposite of fire. Fire isn't rehearsed, it's alive. It's born from the combination of inner calm and deep conviction. It's about meaning every word, not performing for approval. So here's the challenge. Next time you speak, slow down, breathe. Choose your words with intention. Don't rush to fill silence. And when you do speak, let your tone carry the weight of a man who knows who he is. That's how you ignite fire without trying too hard. If you're ready to embody that kind of presence, type this in the comments: I speak fire. And remember, words aren't the only tool. There's something even more magnetic than fire in your voice. It's a quality that doesn't require sound at all, but it can pull a woman closer than anything you could ever say. That's where we're heading next. Number 7. Power in silence. Silence can be louder than any words. Most men think they have to talk, explain, or prove themselves to keep a woman's interest. But the truth is, silence when it comes from strength creates far more attraction than endless explanations. Women aren't drawn to the man who fills every gap with chatter. They're drawn to the man who can sit in silence, completely calm, completely grounded, and still radiate power. Let me give you a real example. Take Mark, a 48-year-old sales manager from Texas. He used to chase validation in every conversation with his girlfriend, Sarah, who's 44. Whenever she grew distant, he tried to fix things by talking more, explaining more, apologizing more. But it only pushed her further away. One day, instead of reacting, Mark simply stopped explaining. He stayed quiet, looked her in the eye, and let the silence hold. To his surprise, Sarah leaned in. She broke the silence first. Why? Because silence signaled strength. It showed her he wasn't desperate for her approval. Here's what women feel in moments like this. Silence creates mystery. It makes them wonder what's going on in your mind. And that wondering creates pull. A man who can hold silence communicates confidence. He's saying, without words, I don't need to fill space to feel important. Now, contrast that with the man who panics when silence shows up. He cracks jokes, over-explains, or nervously fills the air because he can't handle the quiet. That energy screams insecurity, and women sense it instantly. Silence, when used with calm body language, signals the opposite. It shows presence, strength, and emotional control. Here's another real-world example. James, 52, divorced for a few years, started dating again. He met Emily, a 5-year-old teacher. On their second date, there was a moment of quiet after a deep conversation. Instead of rushing to fill it, James leaned back, smiled slightly, and simply enjoyed the pause. Emily later admitted that was the moment she felt most drawn to him. She said, "It was like you didn't need to impress me. You were just there." That's the power of silence. Psychology backs this up. Silence forces the other person to lean into the moment. It makes your presence more magnetic because it breaks the pattern of constant noise. Women are constantly surrounded by men trying to impress, trying to talk their way into attraction. The man who can sit calmly in silence stands out as rare, and rare always equals valuable. The Stoics knew this truth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Silence isn't empty. It's a container for calm strength. When you embrace it, you show her that your emotions are under your control, not hers. But let me be clear, silence doesn't mean being cold, ignoring her, or playing games. It's about being comfortable with pauses, showing through your presence that you don't need to beg for her attention. When you mix silence with warmth in your eyes, steady posture, and relaxed energy, you're not pushing her away, you're pulling her in. So here's your takeaway. Stop fearing silence. Use it. When you feel the urge to fill space with words, pause instead. Let her feel the weight of your calm presence. That's where respect and attraction grow. If you understand this and you're ready to live it, type in the comments, "I own silence." And remember, silence is only one layer of masculine power. There's another trait, equally subtle but even more magnetic, that makes women crave your presence without you saying a single word. We'll uncover that next. Number 8. Stillness turns her on. There's something magnetic about stillness. Not the kind of stillness that comes from being frozen or timid, but the deep, grounded stillness that radiates from a man who is fully at ease with himself. Women pick up on it instantly. In fact, they crave it because in a world full of men who are restless, reactive, and desperate for attention, the man who can remain calm, steady, and unshaken becomes unforgettable. Think about what stillness communicates. It tells her you're not a man who gets rattled by emotions or swayed by every little shift in her mood. You're not running after her validation or scrambling to keep her interested. Instead, you're anchored. That steadiness gives her the feeling of safety and desire at the same time. She sees it as control, strength, and quiet confidence, all qualities women are secretly drawn to. The Stoics understood this long ago. Seneca once said, "A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." What he meant is that most people create chaos in their own minds, reacting to imagined problems or fears. But a man who practices stillness doesn't chase after storms that aren't there. He doesn't let panic dictate his behavior. That kind of calm makes him rare, and rare men are the ones who stand out in a woman's heart. Now imagine two men. One can't sit still. He's always fidgeting, texting, over-explaining, and trying to prove his worth. The other leans back, breathes slowly, makes eye contact, and doesn't rush to fill silence. Which one does she feel more drawn to? Always the second. His stillness makes her pulse quicken, not because he's doing nothing, but because his nothing is charged with masculine energy. This is why stillness is not weakness, it's power. It's the discipline to not react, the strength to remain composed, the self-respect to let things unfold without chasing. In female psychology, this hits hard because it flips the script. She's used to men chasing, proving, or begging. When she meets stillness, she feels the pull of the unknown. She starts leaning in, trying to break that calm exterior, because curiosity and desire grow where mystery lives. But let's clear something up. Stillness is not about being cold or indifferent. It's not about ignoring her or shutting down emotionally. It's about being so centered that her emotions don't drag you into chaos. You can smile, you can be warm, but you're not overreacting. That balance between calm and presence makes stillness irresistibly attractive. And here's the kicker. When you embody stillness, you shift the frame of the relationship. You no longer compete for her attention. She begins to compete for yours. Women are wired to feel drawn to what they can't fully grasp, and your stillness makes them want to uncover more. It makes her crave the moments where she can see a glimpse of what's behind your calm exterior. This is why stillness is the masculine trait she secretly craves. It doesn't scream for attention. It pulls her in quietly, steadily, until she realizes she can't stop thinking about you. So let me ask you, are you ready to master stillness? If you are, drop it in the comments. I choose calm. And stay with me, because while stillness pulls her in, there's another layer to masculine power that locks her interest even deeper. It's subtle, it's psychological, and once you use it, you'll see women respond to you in ways you never expected. Number 9. Mystery fuels desire. Mystery has always been one of the most powerful forces in attraction. When a woman feels she already knows everything about you, when every thought, emotion, and move is predictable, the spark begins to fade. But when you hold something back, when you allow silence and intrigue to linger, you ignite a desire that runs deeper than surface-level attraction. Take Mark, 48, from Texas. He'd been married before, and after his divorce he started dating again. His mistake at first was oversharing every detail about his day, his past, even his insecurities. Women listened politely, but the energy wasn't there. Then something shifted. He began saying less, letting pauses breathe, revealing pieces of his story slowly instead of dumping everything at once. Suddenly, women leaned in, asked more questions, and found themselves curious about him. That curiosity was desire taking root. On the other side, let's look at Laura, 44, from California. She met a man who didn't give her the whole playbook on the first date. He was friendly, warm, but not overly available. When she asked about his weekend plans, he simply smiled and said, "I've got something lined up. We'll see how it goes." That air of mystery drove her crazy in a good way. She found herself imagining what he might be doing, and her interest only grew. This works because mystery keeps the emotional tension alive. Desire is fueled by uncertainty. If everything is predictable, the mind switches off. But when something is unknown, the mind can't help but focus on it. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. We are naturally drawn to unfinished stories and unanswered questions. By not giving everything away, you make yourself the story she wants to finish. Stoicism ties into this beautifully. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's not about acting clueless. It's about not needing to explain or justify yourself constantly. A Stoic man is content with being misunderstood because he doesn't crave validation. That quiet detachment creates a sense of mystery, and mystery is deeply attractive. But mystery doesn't mean playing games. It's not about lying, hiding critical truths, or manipulating. It's about letting her experience the journey of discovering you at her own pace. If you tell her everything in the first week, you've already robbed her of the joy of uncovering your layers. Real mystery is about restraint, showing just enough to spark curiosity, while keeping enough back to leave her wanting more. The beauty of this is that it flips the dynamic. Instead of you chasing her attention, she begins chasing yours. Instead of you working to impress, she starts leaning in, asking, investing. And that shift happens because your mystery creates desire she can't quite control. So ask yourself, are you being mysterious enough to fuel attraction? Or are you giving everything away too soon? If you want to claim this, drop it in the comments. I hold back. And stay with me, because what comes next builds on this in a way that makes your presence impossible to resist. It's not about words, not even about actions. It's something far subtler, yet infinitely more powerful. Number 10. Respect comes first. At the core of every strong relationship, every spark of attraction that lasts beyond the surface, there is one thing that matters more than desire, more than charm, even more than love itself: respect. Without respect, attraction becomes temporary, and affection turns into frustration. With respect, everything else, trust, intimacy, passion, can grow naturally. Many men misunderstand this. They think women are primarily chasing excitement, romance, or constant attention. Those things matter in small doses, but what truly sustains her attraction is the feeling that she can look at you and see a man who is solid, someone she can admire. Respect isn't something you demand, it's something you embody. So what does it mean to put respect first? It begins with respecting yourself. A man who constantly explains himself, apologizes for things he hasn't done wrong, or bends his values just to please a woman, sends a silent signal. He doesn't hold himself in high regard. And if he doesn't respect himself, why should she? Women may not always say it outright, but they crave men who move through life with a backbone. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That simple line captures the heart of respect. You don't have to announce your standards. You don't have to prove them in debates. You live them. You let your choices, your boundaries, your calm presence speak for themselves. When a woman sees that you prioritize respect in how you treat yourself and others, she begins to feel safe around you. Respect creates stability. It's what allows her to relax in your presence, knowing you won't lose yourself in neediness or compromise your principles just to hold on to her. Ironically, this is what makes her attraction grow stronger, because she knows she's dealing with a man who doesn't need her validation to feel whole. Now, respect in a relationship isn't one-sided. It's not just about her respecting you, it's about you respecting her, too. That doesn't mean worshipping her or putting her on a pedestal. It means recognizing her individuality, her boundaries, and her choices. Respect doesn't suffocate. Respect doesn't control. Respect is giving her the freedom to be herself, while still standing firm in who you are. Here's where many men stumble. They confuse respect with passivity. They think respecting her means agreeing with everything, never challenging her, and avoiding conflict at all costs. But true respect is rooted in honesty. It's about being willing to disagree without fear, to call out what doesn't align with your values, and to expect the same in return. That dynamic of honest respect builds a bond far stronger than blind approval ever could. Think about it this way. When a woman respects you, she doesn't just like you, she trusts you. Trust is what allows her to open up, to follow your lead, and to invest herself fully in the connection. When she feels that foundation, attraction deepens into devotion. Without it, even the strongest spark fizzles out. And here's the paradox. If you focus only on trying to make her like you, you often lose her respect. But when you focus on earning and maintaining respect, genuine attraction follows naturally. This is why so many men who are confident, calm, and unwavering in their values seem magnetic even without trying. It's not about tricks or lines, it's about the energy of respect they radiate. Respect also sets the tone for passion. When boundaries are clear, when both people know where they stand, intimacy becomes electric instead of unstable. Women can let go in the presence of a man they respect because they know he's not pretending, he's not fragile, and he won't collapse under pressure. That is deeply attractive on a primal level. Putting respect first also protects you from becoming trapped in unhealthy dynamics. When you lead with respect for yourself and for her, you avoid games, manipulation, and power struggles. You no longer chase validation because you already know where your value lies. That clarity frees you, and paradoxically, it draws her closer. At the end of the day, desire comes and goes, emotions rise and fall, but respect is the anchor that keeps everything steady. A woman may be drawn to your charm, your humor, your presence, but what makes her stay, what makes her crave your energy, even years down the line, is respect. So remember this: the man who earns respect without asking for it is the man who keeps her interest, her trust, and her passion alive. Respect comes first always. So now you've seen the truth. Every part we explored comes down to one principle: when you embody calm strength, quiet confidence, and self-respect, everything in your relationship shifts. She feels it, she responds to it, and she respects it. That's the real power of Stoicism and the masculine frame. If you found value in this video and you want more lessons that keep you sharp, grounded, and impossible to ignore, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.